Well, with that being said, you guys, are we ready to get into the highly advised pound for pound top 10 consensus of the beginning of
Pound for pound or
2020?
pound for pound?
Pound, what? Pound for
You
pound.
you said you said pound for pound.
All right. So you're going to be that person today. All right.
I, I'm just
The Grammy family.
All right. All
all right.
right.
My bad, Nigel.
No,
My
no, it's all
bad.
good. It's all good.
Yeah, is it all good? Because you was tight. Just
All
joking, man.
right. All
Yo,
right.
stupid. Yo.
So, listeners, what we did was we actually put out a top 8 albums of the year. We're gonna do this in the same vein as that. Me, Lau, and Spence have made our own top 10 fighter of the year list, pound for pound list, and we have combined those lists to make a consensus of the highly advised pound for pound list for the beginning of 2020. It is a point system. Whoever was your top fighter got 10. Whoever was your least favorite fighter from the year got a 1. That is the way we did it. Top 10. Are you guys ready?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's motherfucking go, man. Let's do this shit.
All right. So, in the number 10 spot, we have Conor McGregor with 3 points.
Ooh,
Hmm.
wow. The you already talked about Mystic Mac.
Already talking about him at the top 10. I don't even think I put him in my top 10 because he hasn't been like very active. And that one fight he had against Donald Cerrone, while it was impressive, like that's not enough for me to really put him in the top 10 list when there's 10 other fighters who have been like doing work for real, for real.
I
Right.
didn't put him in my top 10 at all neither. But if he made the top 10, that's actually, interesting. And he's one of those guys where like let's face it, he's the face of MMA, right?
Right.
Arguably, you could say he's the face of combat sports because there's nobody right now that you could just mention him being at a bar and then there's going to be headlines about it. Does that mean he should be in the pound for pound? No, but is it surprising that he'll make somebody's list? No, because it's like, we're talking about the biggest guy
Right.
in MMA, but he's real the biggest box office. You put him in boxing, he's gonna be box office. Like that's just his star power. Whether he's coked up or not.
My God.
That's a fact. So like for me, I did put him in my list because I did base it off the fight that he had with Cerrone last year. Um, uh, Granted, there wasn't much, and there were a lot of good fights over the year. But I think when I was looking at it was based off the list that I know were using prior to. So I based it off that list, and I was like, for me, I had to put Connor up. Where I put Connor was like number 8, which probably he probably could have went further down, possibly, but like I could have seen putting him at my number 10 at now looking at my list now, but I don't know. It was just something about like from seeing his performance. Granted, with the amount of time in between and everything, just from everything of the performance that he had, and then the ideas of what would have been coming had COVID-19 not happened, we probably would have seen him fight. We would have seen him active again still.
All right. For number 9, we have a tie between Tony
Ooh,
Ferguson and Alexander Volkanovski.
Okay, that's a little interesting. So I think it's fitting Volkanovski being at the number 9 spot. The dude is undefeated in UFC. He beat Max Holloway twice. Whether people think that, hey, Max really won the second fight or not, he's still on paper. The dude's still undefeated. He's been rising to the challenge every fight. You know what I mean? He's actually he's fighting Ortega next. If he beats Ortega, we're starting to look at like, yo, will he be one of the greatest featherweights ever? Because he's pretty much outside of Max Holloway, he's walking through everybody he's fighting. So
Yeah, I
right.
had him a little bit lower on my list because I just because like the way I did my list, I would say for the most part was based upon the dominance of the person in their weight class, and like essentially they're just dominance in general and how good of a fighter they are, and I try to mix it in between there. And for me, Volkanovski's fights were so close, and I personally think Max Holloway won the second one, that it's hard for me to say that he's more dominant than the other people I had on my list or have shown that dominance at one point in time and will probably be dominant. You know what I mean? So it it's just that while he did win those fights on paper, we all watched the second fight together and we know how close it was. Now
Right.
with Tony, I couldn't include him because he got beat so bad by Justin Gaethje and he took that loss. It just really moves him down in lightweight to me. Like I think he's gonna be like maybe 2 to 3 fights away from a title shot, depending on how he comes back from that. And shouts out to Tony Ferguson because I like him,
I,
but
I mean, the spanking that he got from Charles Oliveira took him out of the list for me. Like with Justin Gaethje, it's like, okay, you have one bad loss, it does knock you down. But when he basically Charles Oliveira made him his son that night. I
yeah,
was just kind of like, well, that's not pound for pound, that's not pound for pound anymore.
Yeah.
Like you had a run, but back to back spankings is, ooh,
I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like this this was a list that I made. Like I think right before that fight, I do believe, and I guess I didn't take I didn't take in that consideration because like when you think about it now, it's like it's hard to put you on a pound for pound, or at least definitely looking at where I have them ranked at on my personal list. It's like it's hard to have you ranked that high. Definitely, if you take like two spankings back to back, definitely when it's like to go from to go from being the number one contender to now probably like y'all said, like it's probably gonna be like 3 or 4 fights possibly. So I mean, I'd be honest with you, I'm cool with swiping him from the list, like after the points that you guys are giving. But
so are we gonna give Volkanovski that lone number 9 spot?
I would.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right. With the highly advised podcast has deemed it so that's what we're gonna do. All right.
here.
So at number 8 we have Davison Figueiredo.
Man, I had Davidson a little higher, man, because I'm like, this guy, he had a superstar 2020. He knocking people out. Yes, he had the draw with Brandon Moreno. Excuse me. And I thought Brandon Moreno did enough to win, but Figueredo, man, he looked phenomenal in that fight too. A lot of people were saying like, "Yo, this could steal fight of the year." You know what I mean? So Davison Figueroa, he's breathed some life, however you want to fucking say it, into that flyweight division.
For sure.
He
Absolutely.
really did, and now it's exciting for him to fight because you're kind of like, yo, is he gonna blitz to this dude, or somebody actually gonna be able to stop him? Like, and I give him kudos. He was on a tear, flyweight champion. He gave a memorable fight. Like, he's a guy to watch out for in 2021.
Yeah, I put him a little further down on my list only because to me once again, like when you have a fight that is that close, like that fight was kind of like a war. There's points in times where he looked like he might have been finished in that fight. And while he is the champion, that wasn't like a very dominant performance. Like that's a fight where people are saying we need the rematch. You know what I mean? They're saying why you would be dumb if you didn't make the rematch. So I can't put him further on that list. I actually have him ranked right under Volkanovski only because like Volkanovski has done more in his weight class than Davison has so far. But that doesn't mean that he isn't a good fighter. He's definitely proven himself more than anything else.
I didn't have him like too high on my list either. I think I just wasn't too impressed by some things I've seen, and even like you said, like anytime like there's a need for a call for a rematch, like it kind of makes me question like where I put you at. So
That's fair enough. I respect that. So, are you guys ready to move on to number 7?
Yes.
With 10 points,
yeah,
we have a tie between Valentina Shevchenko and Wei Li Zhang.
Whoa. So I think I had Wei Lee and Valentina on my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I put Valentina higher above her because Valentina had more fights and she cleaned up the competition a lot quicker than Whaley did on her end. And Whaley is nice, and she did have that great fight with Joanna. But Valentina, man, I still think behind Amanda Nunes, she's the woman.
Yeah, I think Valentina Shevchenko
Mm,
is the number 2 female fighter in the world at the moment. I can't
yeah.
really see it much other way than that, only because she's been pretty dominant, even when she's not finishing. She's dominant. Weili Zhang is making her way though. If she has another few performances, like even if they are wars, like because she did put in work against the last woman she fought prior to the Boogie woman. What was her name, Lau?
Fuck Jessica Andrade.
Jessica Andrade. She, put in work against her, had a great fight against the Boogie Woman, and whatever is next for her, I think she has a decent chance of winning. So that's why I put her there, and I respect it actually.
Yeah, I respect them tying themselves up. Like Valentina did have a better roster, well, not roster, but better schedule overall. But I had put Zhang where I put Zhang at was just because of like the performances I've seen by her. Like I do like kind of like a dog fight sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
just because sometimes for me it proves a lot because it's a big difference between like going out knocking some dude out versus like I know where your heart is when you really like in a war you really come through. So that was like one of the things that really had me ranking her a little higher. So
Number 6, we have with 14 points, Israel Adesanya.
Thank you, Nigel. Thank you.
I knew you would be happy about that one. So that
Thank you. I'm not. I mean, I'm not happy that he's at 6, but I'm happy that you pronounce his name right. So something is good, you know. I think Israel, you know, arguably he's one of the UFC's best fighters today. His popularity, you could tell he's definitely going to be one of the stars of the future. If he keeps winning, of course, that helps. You know, if he wins the big fights, of course. Undefeated in MMA. His last opponent was supposed to be, you know, his vice, his kryptonite, and he spanked them and put his fucking teeth in the mat and ended up humping him behind. Now he's moving up for a light heavyweight title shot. Like Israel, he's one of those guys where he's going to keep rising in these rankings. You know, he's going to keep on. Like he's not fighting bums; he's fighting good guys, and now he's fighting a bigger challenge. Uh, we're looking at. I know he doesn't like to be compared to John Jones, but like we're looking at the next guy that's going to have the same level of skill with like John Jones, except the star power might be bigger because it seems like the UFC machine is behind him more.
yeah, like I mean, like I said, I had made this list a little like maybe about a month or so ago. It was a little before before this announcement. I think of him going up to actually fight at 205. So like, but even then, like at Adesanya, he's been very impressive because I do agree where he does look to be like in the terms of that next generation superstar. He has that, and I think I had him low. I think partially because of though he did beat Paulo Costa, and it was he whooped his ass. Nonetheless, it was just like I think the thing that and you can't really judge him for it because it's his competition, right? I think it was just the fact that it was just such a poor performance from Paulo Costa that had me say like, well, even though he's still dominant, nonetheless, Adesanya deserves to be like who he is the champion. Nonetheless, it's just like I need to see him against better competition in comparison to Paulo Costa, or at least someone that's taking the fight serious. I'll say that
Fair
much.
enough, Spence. Fair.
Yeah,
yeah,
so I'm very curious to see what it'll do at 205 because I know nonetheless he is going to be that new face of the next generation and probably hands down. I'll put it like this: at the trajectory that he's going down, he's on pace to be one of the people that will have the conversation of GOAT one day if he keeps up what he's doing. If he keeps up what he's doing and keeps like winning and keeps doing outstanding performances time and time after again, like it wouldn't be surprising if he does everything that he says he wants to accomplish within the next year or so. It wouldn't be surprising if he's not number one on pound for pound list when we do this again for 22. So
So yeah, I think Izzy is maybe deserves to be a little higher on the list, but I think because of like the little bottleneck of talent that's in the top five, I'm okay with him being at number six. I'm not too mad at it, only because like this is like a list of like a lot of greats on here. But I would say that only because of his dominance, I would put him maybe like a step or two above where he's at right now because like he's shown and proven himself, even if he has like two, maybe one or two close fights on his record that he for the most part he's going in and not like only winning but dominating his competition. Like I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Izzy like as the persona that he puts on TV for us all to see. I think, I'm just not the biggest fan of it, but that being said,
right,
that you can't deny his fighting prowess. So that's why I respect where he's at. Maybe
right.
just slightly change it. For number 5, we have Stipe Miocic with 15 points.
Greatest heavyweight of all time. He
Yep.
beat DC. He
Yep.
established that. Um, I'm not the biggest Stipe fan, but what him being the greatest heavyweight of all time is something I do agree with. This guy, if you were to fight Stipe, I feel like, hey, you got to be on your aim game. This guy he's a damn good fighter. Outside of fucking Daniel Cormier and who else beat him? Junior Dos Santos and who's the long lanky dude? Stefan Struve that beat him. It's when Stefan Struve beat Stipe really early in his career. Dos Santos, that's when Dos Santos was pretty much, hey, he was at the height of his career. And when DC beat him, it's DC. But when he fought Dos Santos again, cleaned his clock, he dominated DC twice. So I feel like Stipe, man, there's not. He has the longest defensive of for the heavyweight title, the most defenses of the heavyweight title. 2-time heavyweight champion. In my opinion, he's better than Cain Velasquez. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's only one person that could beat Stipe. Actually, there's
That's to be
two
seen.
people, two people that could beat him. Francis with the knockout from hell, or maybe John Jones. We'll never know though.
Uh,
We won't
yeah.
know though.
I was gonna say yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't even say that for Francis, just because like we seen Stipe actually take a shot from Francis,
Yeah,
and like it was like a clean shot. A shot that would collapse any regular fighter, any top tier contender, and Francis did that, and he still lost the fight. So like someone like Francis has a puncher's chance. I do agree there, but I think at the end of the day, Stipe has his number.
fair enough, man.
Yeah, similar to DC's. Like, to me, I'm fine. I'm happy with him being at 5, greatest of all time, just based off like his performance in terms of like his defense, the amount of times he's defended the belt as well. And on top of it, like just like what a champion is, definitely at the highest level, which is heavyweight. Like he gets the job done, and like it's not even like it's not even like he needs to play mind games to even get inside of his opponent. He goes in there and he literally cleans the clock of most of his opponents. He's taken some shots, he's lost, he's not been knocked out before, gotten back up and still handled the job. So like that's for me personally, I had him actually at 4. So him being at 5 didn't really bother me none. So
Yeah, man. He is your world heavyweight champion, the marquee title of all of across combat sports.
Yeah, I'm not mad at where CP is at all. You know what I mean? Like he's the best heavyweight of all time, and I think the argument is hard to make. A lot of some people would say Cardio Kane, but Cardio Kane doesn't have the amount of title defenses that Stipe has, and also the amount of competition that Stipe has. He's fought some of the best heavyweights that we've seen. So like
facts.
and beat them. Not only beat some of them, but knock some of them out. So it's like I just don't see how you can do that. 2-time heavyweight champion. Let's not forget that he got the belt back after he lost it.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, is it 3-time now?
No, he's two-time. He knocked out Fabricio, then he
Yep.
knocked out Daniel Cormier.
Okay, so 2-time champion. So yeah, like it's one of those things where I got nothing but respect for that top five. And I think the only reason we're not talking about like him maybe higher is because we're talking about the fighters of right now list. With that being said, are y'all ready for the top four?
What we got next?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what we got next?
We have Kamaru Usman with 17 points.
Uh this hurts me because my Naja brother should have been a little higher by according to these rankings. But at the same time, I think Usman is probably the most dominant champion outside of Habib in the UFC today. Yes, his fighting style is not pleasing for the casual bloodlusting fan, but he dominates very well, bro. His striking has been improving every fight. There's no way. I put it like this: you got to be a better wrestler to beat Usman, because if you're not, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
he's
It's
working
one.
on you.
He's working on it. I feel like it's one of those things. Like, hey, improve your grappling, or if you are a grappler, make sure like you plan to go there with him, because he's not going to sit there and try to strike you with you like that Kobe Covington shit. That was like one in a million years. You know what I mean? I don't think like when they rematch, and it's very likely they could rematch in the future. Is I don't think Usman is going to try to stay in a trade with him. If he does, it's just to close the distance and take him down. Like Usman is not one to be fucked with, and I think that he will beat Gilbert Burns, helping him ascend up in the pound for pound rankings even more.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree,
like
man. I think that Kamaru Usman. So funny enough, with this list, we all have him ranked. I'll tell you exactly where we all have him ranked at. Wow, you have him six. Spence, you have him six, and I have him seven. Like, so he just kind of
Mm.
rounded his way into the top four. I have nothing but respect for Kamaru Usman because he is very dominant in the way he fights. It's not always the most pleasing for, I would say, maybe your casual MMA fan, but I think like when you're going in and winning damn near every round against everybody you're fighting, that's kind of hard to battle against. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe he's showing himself to not be the best in all areas and not unbeatable in all areas, but he doesn't worry about that because that's not his goal. His goal is to win, and he does that by taking you down and working on you for 25 minutes. So that is something I have to respect.
exactly. Like my thing is when it comes to him is he gets the job done, right? And granted I said what I said about Stipe, where he just comes and gets the job done, doesn't say much. A lot of times in the case for Kamaru though, it's the exact opposite, where a lot of the fights that he has, these things are not like it's not like a Connor thing where it's oh, it's just all for show. Like where you have someone like him and Jorge Masvidal or him and Covington, for instance, or even him and Woodley had an exchange of words. It wasn't that serious though, but you could just see where it's where there's a lot of things that come in that a lot of things he has to take into account when he walks into the fight, where it's easily where you can get your A game thrown off, and like even like Nigel even said before, where him and Kobe even fought each other. You can tell where him and Kobe. It's a rarity that you're going to see two guys like that just stand up and just slug it out the whole time when they both know they can respect each other. They have respect the wrestling game at the end of the day. So like
Exactly.
when you have like, and granted that's a fair and few in between, because I do agree, like if they were to fight again, I highly doubt that would be something they would want to do at repeating it again nonetheless. Just definitely seeing how it ended up for Kobe, at least wired him shut and everything, but
Yeah.
like I was happy about that. But
I think the whole world, unless you're a racist, are happy.
no kizzy. Like but yeah, like at the end of the day when it's all said and done, like he's just a dominant fighter at the end of the day. Like he's like his competition in his weight class is like supposedly like top tier competition, and he has done what he has to do each and every time he's been stepping into the ring. And granted, like he's had his times, his ups and downs, but like at the end of the day, like until I see something that like is definitive, like I can't see anybody else in his weight class that can just like that's just gonna not chip him right off the block right now. So
It's time to get into it.
it's the top
Now,
three, right?
it is the top three. Now, I have a lot to say about this number three spot because that's the way I put it. So, for number three, we have Amanda Nunes with 21 points. Now, I ranked Amanda Nunes number two, and I'll tell you why. Because she is the only fighter on this list who is dominating two weight classes, without a doubt. She has been defending both of her belts. And while she might not be like the best technical fighter on this list or the most dominant fighter on this list, she has dominated those two weight classes to a point where we're not going to see any other females fight and actually think they have a chance against Amanda Nunes. It's just something that we're not seeing by many other people in MMA at the moment. So for me, I had to put her at number two because even though her strength of competition isn't the best, she's shown herself to be the best amongst those two weight classes.
Now, when you put it like that, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a good argument as to why she would be number two, because there is a difference between like because we know Amanda, she's dominated her weight class and she's dominating two weight classes, and it's not like a triple C thing or double C or whatever
Or
the
even
hell
Daniel
he wants to
Cormier
call
type
it.
thing.
Yeah, it's not like, or even like Connor, like it's not like she's just grabbing the belt and just holding on to it. She's like, yo, all right, who I'm fighting this week? Who I'm fighting? I'm fighting her. All right, cool. All right, do I need to cut weight or do I need to gain weight?
Yep.
Like when you have someone like that, that there is an argument for why you would have her at number two. Personally, I had her at my number three, and at the end of the day, it just came down to, well, you see my top three, like, and we'll probably get into them pretty soon. But
Yes, we will.
like to me, I just saw I seen these next two fighters as just being like just overall, I had them higher than her. That's all. But nonetheless, I'm happy with her being at number two or number three. So I don't know. She's a hell of a fighter, and I can't wait to see what she has coming next. Plus, definitely if they try to really build up Clarissa the Shields in these like little other promotions, at this point they're just trying to find ways of finding new talent that can try to beat Amanda at this point, or what's going to be not at this point, but what's going to be coming in the next few years because she's just too dominant.
I think Amanda Nunes, the greatest female mixed martial artist of all time. Was
Facts.
that a debate? First ballot Hall of Famer and all that stuff. She's more recognized, more respected than like a Clarissa Shields, and that's not a knock of Clarissa because she's probably greatest
Boxer.
female boxer. You know what I mean in the game, and she's definitely a face of boxing. But Amanda Nunes is bigger. Amanda Nunes, I feel like she's beaten bigger opponents in
Right.
the realm of MMA, and I just feel like she deserves every part to be anybody's go conversation. She not just for men and women, just it doesn't matter. Like she beat Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, Misha Tate, Cyborg, and finished them all in the first round. All in the first round. She beat
That's crazy.
Jermaine Durand to me. She beat this. I mean, this Felicia Spencer girl. She was a joke of a fight, but like she did what she had to do. But she did what she had to do by dominating her so bad. Like she could have finished her, but we all seen that she was just having fun in there because
She
she
was
knew
smiling, laughing.
she was, yeah, like come on, try to fight. Like she knew, like if I finish this girl in the first round, they're not going to be able to get me a fight anytime soon. So let me enjoy this while I can. You know, it,
You know what type of savage that you have to be?
hey man, I respect the hell out of Amanda Nunes, man, and she beat Valentina Shevchenko twice, twice. You know what I mean? Like, I, I respect the hell Amanda, man, and she fighting Megan Anderson or Megan Anderson, however you want to pronounce the first name.
Right.
Right.
she's fighting her on the same card as Israel and Blachowicz, but Amanda's gonna put that girl down. She's gonna beat this girl. This girl has no chance. Amanda's gonna. I'm telling you, I truly think Amanda's gonna retire on top with both belts.
That's why I had to put her number 2, man. Like,
There's not a woman alive that can beat her. Valentina has the best chance, but Valentina will lose again because Amanda is too big. She's too big, like physically. She will retire with both belts, man. She's the greatest female fighter of all time. She's better than some men as well. You know what I mean?
When we thought Chris Cyborg was like the boogie woman of just female combat sports, period. Not MMA, not just like boxing, just period. Any woman, that's the last person you want to get in the ring with. Any woman would, and some men would as well, right? And we saw what Amanda did. Amanda treated her like she was just another fighter.
Yes.
Like there's something very spooky about that, where the boogie woman, this woman's been the boogie woman for damn near 10 years. And now, like, cause we all used to hear about Cyborg prior to her being in the UFC for years. And like, then you see someone like Amanda just walking through that. So it just says a lot about who she is and like what's there to come from her even more. So
honestly, you can put Amanda Nunes anywhere in the top 3 and it makes sense. Like, if I'm being honest, but it just so happens that for us, she is number 3.
Yeah. And
in the number 2 spot with 27 points, we have Khabib Nurmagomedov.
That's a crime, in my opinion. That's a crime, because I'll put it like this: I'm not a diehard Khabib fan. I'm really not. I was rooting for Conor against him. I'm gonna put it out there, fans. If Conor and Khabib rematch, I'm rooting for Conor again. I don't give a shit. But what I will say is Khabib is pound for pound number 1. Should have been pound for pound number 1 on our list. I'm telling you, if you compare him to who the number 1 person is, not just gonna say, his performances has been a lot more dominant in the past 3 fights versus who the number 1 guy is gonna, that Nigel's about to say. Nigel's favorite fighter of all time. Like, Nigel had to find a way to Nigel had to find a way to scam his favorite fighter of all time in the number 1 spot. Habib,
I guess this is just as corrupt as Bob Arum, I guess.
Yeah, worse, Oscar. But
oh god,
Habib. I'm not the biggest Habib fan. I'm really not. Funny. I'm happy he beat Gaethje because I don't like Gaethje, but like, I was rooting for Poirier. I was rooting for Conor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like Khabib like that. But the guy is very dominant. He deserves to be pound for pound number 1. He's 29-0. He's absolutely the greatest lightweight of all time. If you say BJ Penn, you're on the same shit that BJ Penn was on. Yeah. So like, he should have been, at least for 2020, Khabib should be number 1. And I feel like whoever is the next lightweight champion after him, there will always be like this shadow of, you didn't beat Khabib. You know what I mean? So unless Khabib decides to give his blessing. So, that's my take on it.
Do you have anything to say on Khabib before I just say number 1 in my reasoning?
So what I'll say about Khabib is, I had him at number 2. Not even gonna cap. Like, I had him at number 2. But Khabib, I will say he's one of the greatest. He's dominated everybody in his weight class, just like this guy, just like the number 1, right? Like just like the number 1 and just like the number 3, like he's dominated just like most of these fighters on this list, for real. So like, I just wanted to say, like, I have no problem with him being number 2. And like, I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it at that because I think more conversation can come from when we have who we say who's number one.
Right.
I wish we had like a drum roll or something right now.
Yeah, maybe I'll find one that we can put in. I'll make like a highly advised drum roll or some shit. Who knows? So
insert here.
Drum roll, please. In the number one spot for the highly advised pound for pound of the beginning of 2021. If I've been saying 2020 this whole time, I've been fucking up. Excuse me. It is the 3rd of January. John Bones Jones with 29 points.
God.
29. Everybody except for Lau voted him as the number one. The reason why
Lau's ladies and gentlemen, Lau's rocking back and forth right now.
I'm not happy.
It's not a corrupt sport, bro.
No, it's not. I love MMA, and it will never be like the World Boxing Corrupt and the World Bullshit Organization and all the other corrupt commissions of boxing. But this list is low key wrong. What they wanted to.
It's not though, man.
Here is my
pound for pound for 2020.
Here is my reasoning as to why he's the pound for pound for 2020. Now, this is the first pound for pound that we've done, right? And we've been talking about as to why we've been putting all these people in here. We just spoke about Amanda Nunes and how dominant she was, right? Did she beat all those people in 2020? Nope, she didn't.
No,
I'll tell you another thing.
No, but
if you look at Khabib's record in the past few years, he's fought less times than John Jones. Even if you say that those fights weren't as dominant, he has been fighting. He has been fighting top competition more often, and that's just been extending his streak.
Look at the past 3 opponents of Khabib and the past 3 opponents of John. The past 3 opponents of Khabib have been all top 5 lightweights, with one of them being a world champion and the other 2 being interim champions. The top 3 of past of John Jones, you had 2 overblown middleweights, and then you had a guy that they had literally nobody else, and then they decided just to give him a shot because he beat a fucking overrated middleweight in Chris Weidman. John did not look particularly great against Dominic Reyes. He didn't look great against Thiago Santos. And Anthony Smith, yeah, he spanked him, but like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, come on, John could have spanked Stephen Bonner, and it would have had the same equivalence that night.
They all cans now, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you saw what Blachowicz did to Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes is not even being talked about now. So, like,
thank God,
Khabib, he beat to finishes the biggest face in combat sports right now is still Conor. He beats Dustin Poirier, which unfortunately Dustin's about to get another beating this month.
Dustin, right?
Yeah, another Dustin for Dustin. And then he took Justin Gaethje and ranked him through his ass cheeks. Like, so I'm telling you right now.
God damn.
He beat 3 top 5 former champs. And you're telling me that those top 3 performances does not equal up to 2 middleweights and an unknown light heavyweight.
What you're saying
listen,
makes
man.
a lot of sense. John Jones is about to fight for the heavyweight title in but a few months. So, like,
coulda, shoulda, woulda. That didn't happen. Come on, bro.
Nah, man, you gotta realize, like, I think you make some really good points. I will agree with you, right? Because I'm like sitting here like really trying to like decode like how can I like say like, well, I was like we can chip off Justin Gaethje. I was like only way I could chip off Justin Gaethje would be saying like, oh yeah, he dominated Tony Ferguson, but then Tony Ferguson also lost his fight following that, which kind of looks like he might be on the down streak of his career, right? So that's like the only way you can really like downplay Justin Gaethje. But like, I'm gonna give it to you. Like, this is like this is stiffer competition. I think for John though, I think it's still the allure. It's part of the allure of the fact that someone can be so dominant for so long within a division, despite like gaps in his career, all the other BS, and still be so dominant. But even now, up to this point, it's like the division is like partially catching up to him. And I think that's part of the allure that kind of gets him to number one, partially outside of like his performances. I'm luckily I'm happy that Dominic Reyes is shut up now because like he was kind of getting annoying about everything. But I don't know. I think it's that about John as well as like him going up to heavyweight. So it's
There you
like
go.
it's a lot of different things. Like there's a lot of different things that kind of like boost you to say like, yo, this guy is like hands down. There's like we haven't seen much like this, right? And then even then, like the complaint when it comes to Habib is also like he fights what almost like what he's been a champion for what, 3 years or some shit like that, and he's only fought like twice
Three
practically,
times.
or like when he fights, it's like he fights like once a year,
Yep.
like
Yeah,
once a year or almost every other year.
and
So it's like, and that's respect to because of his religion. All respects to his religion, bro.
Right.
But like, it's like okay, even in his time where he can be active, like he's only fighting once, like
but we're
spaced out over years.
here's my argument. If we're talking about overall, I have John at number one. I think John has beaten more. You're only good as the people that you beat, and I feel like John has beaten
Facts.
really great competition. Some of them are Hall of Famers, some of them legends, blah blah blah. But if we're talking about 2020 alone, 2020, John struggled against Dominic Reyes, where some people thought he lost the fight, versus a guy that Habib got and washed him. Like literally washed him. And the only reason why he didn't break his fucking arm because he didn't want his family to cry at the fucking arena. So he went ahead and just choked him to sleep. Like which
You're
performance is
right.
better?
You're right.
Well, here's the thing though.
And 1 year.
Here's the
Come
thing though.
on.
Which one of those fighters of the two we're talking about is actually planning to fight again?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
Dominic,
One of
Dom-
those. No, I'm saying Habib said he's done. So I
yes,
mean, like,
yes, but
hey
like,
man,
but come on, we can't. That's not a
Oh,
good
I
argument.
can't use that though. I
Yeah.
can't use that.
John-
I can't
John
use the
could've been like-
retirement thing. I'm sorry. I'm trying to defend John, but I can't use the retirement.
That's what
one.
I'm saying, man. And like, if you were talking about of all time or the past decade, it's John. But when you're saying 2020, I'm just like, bro, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, John should probably, if you just use the argument of 2020, John shouldn't be as high as he is neither compared to the other performances. You know what I mean? But like, I'm gonna give it to John for the sake of you guys, because you guys miraculously want to have him there, because you just can't let go of like it makes no sense to me, man. I had Davidson Figueiredo number two because I was like, he's been the most active champion of this year.
oh for sure.
And like so, but hey, if you guys, it's all right, man. John Jones 2021 may be his year again. He may claim the heavyweight title, and good for him. But 2020
We will
was not.
see.
2020 was not his fucking year, my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Hey, so would you be upset if he was number two?
Who? John?
Yeah.
I mean, no. The way the podcast rolled out, no, because like you guys had Davidson Figueiredo so low. Now, if you had him a little higher, then I'm like, yeah, Davidson could have been higher than John.
That's fair enough. I mean, the way I see it is like between the three of our list, he was either number one or number two. So there's a reason why John Jones is so high. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, what I will say is that luckily we will have other lists that we'll probably change because you do bring up some good arguments. But because all of our voting is so close, we didn't put him number one and number two for no reason. You know what I mean? So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I understand what you're saying. Like I'll do
Say
everything.
I'm right.
I'll
Say
do
I'm right.
everything except give my vote back. so So you did make some good points, but John Jones number one. So that's
You're a
what we're gonna
politician, I swear.
do. So,
Yeah.
do we have anything else to say to the listeners? I think this is actually a good episode for our MMA fans. Shout out to us. You know what I mean? We're about to put out our predictions for the fights that are coming on for some of these cards soon. Be on the lookout for it on our Instagram, on the Highly Advised podcast. We'll also be commentating on the fights on our Twitter, Advised Highly. Do you guys have anything else to say for the listeners?
I all I gotta say is thank you, listeners. Make sure you follow us at the Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram, Advise Highly on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment, a rating, a review. That helps brings us some awareness. I think that's very key. But thank you for the listeners for keep tuning in for 2021. Make sure you tune into these fights because all these fights we were talking about, the great fights, is going to help give us kind of like a narrative and a notion of how 2021 is going to be. Well, once again, thank you for sure.
All right. I'm sorry, a lot, Spence. Go
That's
ahead.
a fact. Drink your water. That's all I got to say. I want to tell the people, thank you. I appreciate everything that you guys do by listening to us, and we value your opinion as much as you guys value ours as well. Because, I mean, this isn't an easy task week after week, day by day, just to get things like this to you guys. So we just really do appreciate it, like you guys respecting like the art that we do and us creating this type of stuff for you guys. And if you guys got any opinions or want to give us any advice or anything, just shoot us a DM or hell, hit us up down in the comment or whatever. Like, subscribe, leave a rating. Maybe give us your own opinion in the rating if you want something. But I just want to thank you guys. That's all.
All right. I think they said everything that I could. With that, you have been highly advised. We will see you guys next time. Enjoy your time. Stay safe, people.
Shisha.
Mhm.